My name is Juliet Anderson. I'm 29 years old. 14 days before my wedding, my own father looked my fiancée dead in the eyes and said, "She's a liar." Always has been. Then my mother leaned in and hissed. She had a baby at 18 and tried to trap a man with it. Don't let her trap you too. I sat there at that table, silent, while the two people who were supposed to love me tore my soul apart in front of the man I loved. I didn't defend myself. I didn't cry. I didn't run, because what my parents didn't know was that my fiancé had already found her. He had spent 6 months quietly undoing everything they destroyed. And they had no idea she was walking into our rehearsal dinner. That night, everything they tried to bury came back to life, and everything they thought they controlled completely shattered. I'm Juliet. This is the story of how my own parents tried to destroy my life, and how the daughter they forced me to give away came back to save it. Let's go back to December 2024. Ben proposed on the rooftop of his Cambridge apartment. It was freezing. The Charles River looked like glass under the city lights. He'd set up candles in mason jars because he knew I'd think it was cheesy and love it anyway. When he got down on one knee, he said, "I lost 8 years with you. I don't want to lose 8 more days." The ring was a vintage sapphire, his grandmother's. "Family heirloom for the family we're building," he said. We set the wedding for March 29th, 2026. Old South Church for the ceremony. The Fairmont Copley for the reception. Classic Boston wedding. Ben's family was warm, open, everything mine wasn't. His mother cried and hugged me for a full minute. His sister pulled me aside and said, "He was lost without you." I didn't know what to say because I'd been lost too. My mother, on the other hand, called the day after I mailed the invitations. "White roses are so common, Juliet. What will the church ladies think?" I said. "I like white roses, Mom," she sighed. "It's your wedding." The way she said it made it sound like a threat. To understand what happened next, you need to understand what they'd been hiding for 8 years. Fall of 2013. I was 16, a junior at St. Catherine's. Ben was 18, a senior. We met in the library. He was sketching house designs, a wraparound porch, big windows, trees. "Future project," he said, "for someday when I have a family." He gave me that sketch on my 17th birthday. I still have it. We dated for 2 years. He went to MIT. I was planning on Boston College. We were careful. We thought we were. December 2016. I was 18, freshman year. I missed my period. I took the test alone in my dorm bathroom. 2 lines, positive. I stared at it for 20 minutes. I should have told Ben first. Instead, I drove home and told my mother. I was crying. I said, "Mom, I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do." She didn't hug me, didn't ask if I was okay. She just said very quietly, "You're going to fix this." I said I wasn't getting an abortion. Her face went cold. "Then we'll handle it another way." That was the moment they took control. They pulled me out of Boston College, told the school it was a medical leave. For the next 8 months, I lived in my childhood bedroom in Wellesley, feeling her move inside me, trying to imagine a way out that didn't exist. They cut off all contact with Ben. Used my email to send him a breakup message. My mother answered my phone when he called and told him I needed space. He tried for 2 weeks, then he stopped. I wanted to run every single day. But I was 18, pregnant, with no money and nowhere to go. My father made it clear. "If you contact him, we cut you off. No college, no car, no phone, you'll have nothing." So I stayed. And I let them plan my daughter's disappearance. August 13th, 2017, 3:42 in the morning, Newton Wellesley Hospital. Labor took 16 hours. My parents were there. So was an adoption social worker with a sympathetic smile that didn't reach her eyes. I gave birth to a baby girl. 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Dark hair. Perfect. I asked to hold her. My mother said, "It's better if you don't. Clean break." But there was a nurse, young, maybe 25. She looked at me, then at the baby, then back at me. She said, "I can give you a couple of minutes." She placed my daughter on my chest. 90 seconds. That's all I got. I tried to memorize everything, the weight of her, the warmth. She had a tiny birthmark on her left shoulder, shaped like a crescent moon. I whispered, "I'm so sorry." Then my mother said, "That's enough." I asked, "What's her name?" "Please just tell me her name." The social worker said the adoptive family would name her. They gave me something to help me sleep. I was so broken, I said yes. When I woke up 6 hours later, she was already gone. I signed the relinquishment papers the next morning. Closed adoption, no contact, no information, ever. My mother stood over me while I signed. "You'll thank us when you're older," she said. I went home and locked myself in my room for 3 weeks. I started therapy that October. My therapist was patient and kind. I told her, "But I chose this, didn't I?" She looked at me for a long time. Then she said, "Did you?" Every August 13th for the next 8 years, I called in sick to work. I drove to the hospital parking lot, sat in the same spot my parents had parked that night, and counted the years. What does she look like? Does she know she's adopted? Does she think about me? In my apartment, I kept a box in the back of my closet. Inside were 8 birthday cards, one for each year. I wrote them on August 13th, sealed the envelopes, and put them in the box. I never sent them. There was no address to send them to, but I wrote them anyway. I switched to nursing school in 2018. I couldn't save my daughter. Maybe I could save someone else's. I graduated in 2021 and started at Children's Hospital Boston, pediatric unit. Every baby I held was a reminder. On August 13th, 2022, I sat in that parking lot and whispered, "You're 5 today." "Do you like kindergarten? Do you have my eyes?" No one answered. Then in March 2023, Ben's architecture firm won a contract to design a new pediatric wing at Children's Hospital. He came in for measurements. I was doing rounds on the 4th floor. The architect turned around and I saw him. 8 years. He looked older, sharper, but it was him. An hour later, we were sitting in the hospital cafeteria with 2 coffees going cold between us. He said, "I never stopped thinking about you. I never understood why you left." I told him the truth. Most of it, I told him my parents had forced us apart, that I'd been pregnant when they separated us, that I'd had a daughter born August 2017, given up for adoption. What I didn't tell him was that I genuinely wasn't sure he was the father. The timeline was close, but in my grief, nothing had made sense. I was wrong about that. But I wouldn't know it for 2 more years. We fell in love again, deeper this time because we both knew what losing each other felt like. Ben started coming to therapy with me. He listened. He asked questions. He took notes. I thought he was trying to understand me. I didn't realize he was building a plan. December 2024, the night he proposed, I told him the truth about the paternity. I said the timeline was close, that I'd always assumed it was someone else, that maybe she wasn't his. He went quiet. Then he said, "If she's mine, if our daughter is out there, I need to know." I told him to let it go, that we'd never find her. 3 weeks later, he ordered a 23andMe kit. The results came back in February 2025. Standard European heritage breakdown. No close family matches. Ben stared at the screen and said, "Nothing." I said, "I told you." But I could see the disappointment. What I didn't know was that DNA databases update constantly. 6 months later, everything changed. A couple in Brooklyn, Jennifer and Michael Walsh, adopted their daughter as a newborn and had always been open with her about it. At a routine checkup, the doctor asked about family cardiac history. Jennifer said unknown. Michael suggested a DNA test just for medical records. Their daughter thought it was fun. She spit in the tube, mailed it off, and forgot about it. September 3, 2025. Results came back. The system flagged a match immediately. Close family. Possible father, Benjamin Foster, Massachusetts. At the exact same moment on the other side of Boston, Ben's phone buzzed. New match, close family, possible daughter. Name, Lily W. age 8, Massachusetts. Ben told me later he stared at that notification for a full hour. Lily, born August 2017, Massachusetts, it had to be her, but he didn't tell me right away. He needed to be sure, because giving me hope and being wrong would have broken me. So he hired a private investigator, a former Boston detective who specialized in adoption reunions. The PI found everything within days. property records in Brooklyn, school enrollment, a class photo on the school website, second grade, front row, third from the left, purple shirt, dark curls. Gap-toothed smile. Ben told me later, she had your smile in my eyes, and I knew beyond any doubt she was ours. September 21st, 2025. Ben sat me down and said, I found her. I thought he was joking. He showed me the 23andMe match, the pie report, the photo. I collapsed. I kept saying, how? How is this possible? Then he said, Juliet, the match says I'm her father, not someone else. Me, that broke me all over again, because it meant I'd lost 8 years not just with my daughter, but with the father of my daughter, the man I loved. The man who would have fought for us if he'd known. We hired a family attorney and sent a formal letter to the Walsh family. We weren't trying to take Lily back. We were asking if they'd be open to contact. We waited 3 weeks. No response. I started to accept that maybe closed meant closed. Then Jennifer Walsh called the attorney back. Ben and I sat in the lawyer's office holding hands, barely breathing. Jennifer's voice was warm. She said, we've always wanted Lily to know her birth parents. We tried to maintain contact after the adoption, but we were told Juliet had requested no communication. A clean break. My blood went cold. Ben asked who told them that. The adoption agency, she said, but it wasn't the agency, it was my parents. Jennifer said, Lily asks about her birth mother every year on her birthday. We've told her we'd help her find you when she was ready. We had no idea you were looking too. Ben and I were both crying. We met Lily on February 14th, 2026, Valentine's Day. The Walsh house was a Victorian in Brooklyn, painted blue, flower boxes in the windows. Lily's artwork taped to the refrigerator. When Lily walked in, she was small. Dark curls, 8 years old. Wearing a purple dress. She looked at me, I couldn't breathe. She said, Are you Juliet? Not Mom, just Juliet, I nodded. She said, I've been waiting to meet you. She handed me a handmade photo album with glitter letters on the cover that said Lily's life. She narrated every page, matter of fact, not trying to hurt me. Just showing me what I'd missed. Then she looked up and asked, Did you want to keep me? The question broke me open. I said, Yes, I wanted to keep you more than anything. But I was 18, and my parents said I couldn't. I've regretted it every single day since. She processed that for a moment. Then she asked, So why didn't you come find me sooner? Ben said quietly, Because we didn't know how, until now. She looked at both of us. So you're like my original parents? Yes, I said. Cool, she said. Can I show you my room? Her room was painted sky blue, stars on the ceiling, violin in the corner, walls covered in drawings. One caught my eye, a family portrait. 2 adults labeled Mom Jennifer and Dad Michael. A little girl in the middle labeled me, and in the background, 2 shadowy figures with question marks. Lily saw me looking. I drew that last year, she said. I didn't know what you looked like, so I made shadows, but now I can finish it. She pulled out markers and started drawing. She gave me long brown hair and a smile. She drew Ben tall. She labeled us Juliet and Ben, not Mom and Dad, just our names, and that was okay because we hadn't earned those titles yet. Before we left, Lily made us pinky promise to come back next week. Driving home, I felt lighter than I had in 8 years. And then I remembered. My parents still had no idea. And the wedding was 6 weeks away. We visited Lily 3 more times. Each time she opened up a little more. She played violin for us. She asked if she got her curly hair from me. She did. By the 3rd visit, she hugged me goodbye. Quick, almost shy, but real. I cried in the car. On that same visit, Lily asked, Can I come to the wedding? Ben had the invitation in his jacket pocket. He'd already planned to ask. Then my mother saw them. February 28th, my mother was driving through Brooklyn, stopped at a red light, and saw Ben walking with a little girl holding his hand. The girl looked exactly like me at age 8. Dark curls, same walk, my mother followed them. Watched Ben drop her off at a house on a side street. She wrote down the address. Spent the next 24 hours pulling property records, social media, everything. By Saturday morning, she knew. March 1st, I was home alone. Someone knocked loud and insistent. I opened the door. My parents pushed past me into the apartment. My mother said, "We need to talk about the child." I said, "What child?" She said, "Don't lie to us, Juliet." "We saw Benjamin with her." My father said, "You found her, after we explicitly told you the adoption was final." I said, "You told me a lot of things that weren't true." My mother's face went red. "We gave you a chance to move on, and this is how you repay us, dragging up the past right before your wedding." I was gripping my coffee mug so hard it cracked. I said, "Get out." She didn't move. She said, "If you don't end this immediately, we'll tell Benjamin the truth about you." I said, "He already knows." She laughed, actually laughed. "Does he know you have no idea who the father is?" I said, "Ben is the father, 23andMe proved it." Her face went white. My father said, "Even if that's true, that child is legally adopted." "You have no claim." I said, "We're not trying to take her, we're trying to be part of her life, something you prevented for 8 years. They threatened everything. The church, the wedding, our reputations. Nothing worked. I blocked their number on March 13th. That's when they decided to go nuclear. They'd tell Ben everything, assume he didn't know, and he'd leave me. Wedding canceled. Problem solved. They had planned a dinner weeks earlier before the blow-up. Now it was their stage. I knew it was a trap, but refusing would cause a bigger scene. Ben said, "Let them try, I've got everything documented." He opened a folder on his phone, 23andMe results, emails with the Walsh family. Legal timeline, therapist records, evidence that my parents had blocked Jennifer and Michael's attempts to maintain contact. Everything. "Then we'll face it together," he said. March 14th. 14 days before the wedding, we drove to my parents' house in Wellesley. My mother greeted us at the door, too sweet, all smiles. The dining room was set formally. Good china, pot roast. There were 4 place settings. I asked who else was coming. She said just family. I thought the 4th chair was decorative. It wasn't. My father said grace. Long and pointed, all about truth in marriage. Then, as I lifted my fork to take the first bite, my father looked at Ben and said, "There's something you need to know about Juliet before you marry her." He paused. "She had a baby 8 years ago. She gave it up for adoption and she never told you." Ben set down his fork. Calmly, he said, "I know." My mother blinked. "You know?" "Yes." "Juliet told me over a year ago." My father recovered fast. His voice went sharp. "Did she tell you she has no idea who the father is? That she was with multiple men after you broke up? That she tried to trap one of them and when he refused, she threw that baby away?" I started to stand. My mother cut me off. "Sit down, Juliet. The adults are talking." I sat. My hands were shaking under the table. Ben's hand covered mine. Then Ben said, "I know exactly who the father is." He let the silence sit. "I'm the father. 23andMe confirmed it 6 months ago." The room went still. My father said, "That's impossible." Ben said, "August 2017. Juliet and I were together in December 2016. You separated us in January when she was 2 months pregnant. You forced a closed adoption to hide your shame. Should I continue?" My mother's voice shook. "You have no right," Ben said, "to know my own daughter. Interesting position for grandparents to take." My father stood up. "Even if you are the father, that child is legally adopted." "You have no claim," Ben said. "Actually, we've been in contact with her for 6 weeks." My mother's voice came out strangled. "You've what?" Ben placed his phone on the table, screen up. "Her name is Lily," he said. "She lives in Brooklyn with Jennifer and Michael Walsh, wonderful people who actually love her, and she knows we're her biological parents." He opened a photo. The 3 of us, me, Ben, and Lily, all smiling. Lily holding a handmade sign that said, "See you at the rehearsal dinner." My mother looked at it, then looked at me with venom she didn't even try to hide. "She abandoned her own daughter like trash," she said. "She's rotten to the core." Ben's voice went cold. "She didn't abandon anyone. You stole her daughter, and you're about to lose your own." My mother stood up, shaking. "If you continue this, we will not attend your wedding. We will tell everyone at church what kind of woman she really is." Ben pulled up the full folder. "Let me show you what we have," he said. 23andMe results proving paternity. Emails with the Walsh family, who tried to contact Juliet for years while you blocked them. Therapist records documenting her trauma. Hospital records showing she tried to refuse the adoption. And testimony from Jennifer Walsh about the letters you intercepted. My father's jaw tightened. Ben said, "We're not building a case against you. We're protecting Lily from you." "There's a difference." My mother's voice cracked. "If that child shows up at your wedding, I will stand up and object during the ceremony." I looked at her. The engagement ring was still on my finger. I said, "Then you won't be there to do it." She said, "You can't uninvite your own parents." I said, "Watch me." She tried one final card. "Fine. I'm calling the Walsh family tonight. I'll tell them you're unstable." Ben said, "Go ahead. They already know our story, including your role in forcing the adoption. We have documentation. And they have lawyers." We left, 10 minutes of silence in the car. Then I said, "They're not going to let this go quietly." Ben said, "I know. That's why I already invited them to the rehearsal dinner." I stared at him. "You what?" He explained. He'd sent the invitation 3 weeks ago before the blow-up. He knew they'd find out about Lily eventually. He wanted the confrontation to happen in public, with witnesses, so they could never rewrite history. I asked, "What if they make a scene?" Ben said, "Then everyone will see exactly who they are." March 28th, the night before our wedding, the Fairmont Copley private event room, 40 guests. Ben's family from Vermont, my hospital colleagues, college friends, 5 church members, the progressive ones who actually knew me. And the Walsh family, Jennifer, Michael, and Lily, seated near the exit so they could leave quickly if things went wrong. My parents arrived at 6:15, late, making an entrance. My mother in navy and pearls, my father in a suit, the picture of respectability. Dinner began, speeches. The best man, the maid of honor, Ben's father talking about second chances and finding your way back to love. My parents sat stone-faced through all of it. Then Ben stood up. The room quieted. He said, "Most of you know Juliet and I dated in high school. What you might not know is that we were separated for 8 years. By circumstances beyond our control." His eyes moved briefly to my parents. "Family issues, miscommunication, things that were done to us, not by us, but 3 years ago we found each other again. And this time, nothing was going to keep us apart." He looked at me. "Juliet is the strongest person I have ever known. She survived things that would break most people. And she's done it with a grace and kindness that still amazes me every day." He paused. "There's someone else who wants to say hello." He gestured to the door. It opened. Jennifer Walsh walked in holding the hand of a little girl in a white dress with a purple sash. "Lily." She walked toward the head table. Her eyes were on me. My mother's face went chalk white. My father half stood, then sat back down. Lily reached me and smiled. "Hi," she said, "I'm Lily." Then she turned to face the room, small voice, clear, "I'm Juliet and Ben's daughter." "Well, biological daughter. I have 2 moms and 2 dads, it's kind of cool." The room erupted in murmurs. Ben explained briefly, factually, the separation, the pregnancy. The adoption he never knew about, the DNA test that brought them together, and Jennifer stood up, her hand on Lily's shoulder. "Lily is lucky to have so many people who love her. We're honored to share her with Juliet and Ben." Then my mother stood up, voice shaking. "This is inappropriate. This child should not be here." Ben's sister Caroline said flatly, "Excuse me, who are you?" My mother said, "I'm Juliet's mother," Caroline said. "The same mother who forced an 18-year-old to give up her baby," my mother said. "We did what was best." Ben's father stood up. "For who? Certainly not for Juliet, and certainly not for Lily." The room had turned. Every face was pointed at my parents, not one person on their side. My father tried to pull my mother toward the door. She shook him off. She turned to Lily and said, "You don't belong here." Lily looked at her, 8 years old, white dress, completely calm. "Are you my grandma?" Patricia said nothing. Lily said, "Juliet told me I have grandparents who didn't want me to exist. Is that you?" Dead silence. "Juliet told me she wanted to keep me, but you wouldn't let her. Is that true?" My mother stammered. "It's not that simple," Lily said. "It sounds pretty simple." Ruth, an elderly church member who had known my mother for 20 years, stood up. Patricia Anderson. I have never been more disappointed in someone I called a friend. One by one, people spoke. A colleague from the hospital, Ben's business partner, church members, her own people. Turning on her one after another. My father pulled my mother toward the door. She stopped. She turned. She looked at me and said, "You'll regret this, Juliet, all of you will," and walked out. The door closed, the room exhaled. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone. A standing ovation, not for kicking my parents out, but for the truth finally being in the room. Lily looked around, confused. "Why are they clapping?" I said. "Because we're a family." She said, "All of us?" I said, "All of us." She looked at me, shy and hopeful. "Can I call you Mom?" Or is that weird because I already have a mom? I was crying. "You can call me whatever feels right." She thought about it. "Okay, Mom Juliet and Mom Jennifer, like that." I held her hand. First time holding her hand without a therapist in the room. 8 years late. But here. Ben's parents pulled Lily into a hug. They'd been saving a teddy bear for 8 years. They gave it to her that night. The next day, we got married. March 29th, 2026. Old South Church, Boston. 128 guests. Patricia and George were not among them. Lily was the flower girl. White dress, purple flowers. She walked down the aisle ahead of me. Ben cried when he saw us both. Our vows included the line, "I promise to always choose truth over comfort and love over fear." The pastor said, "Marriage isn't just about two people. It's about the family you build together." The camera panned to Lily. She was beaming. At the reception, we had our first dance. Then Lily, still in her flower girl dress, appeared at the edge of the dance floor. "Can I join?" We pulled her in. The three of us, holding hands in a circle, laughing. The photographer caught it. That photo sits on our mantle now, next to the only other photo I have of her, taken 90 seconds after she was born. 1 week after the wedding, I sent my parents a certified letter. Brief, clear. No contact, no access to my life, my marriage, or my daughter. Not now, not ever. If they attempted it, I had lawyers ready. I never got a response. I heard later through a mutual friend that they quietly left Grace Community Church. Too many questions about the granddaughter they'd tried to erase. They couldn't spin the story anymore. I thought I'd feel guilty. I didn't. I felt free. Lily lives with Jennifer and Michael in Brooklyn. That's her home, her school, her primary family. But she has dinner with us every Wednesday. Every other weekend, all 6 of us sit together in family therapy, me, Ben, Jennifer, Michael, Lily, and the therapist. It works. Her school forms list 4 emergency contacts. Birthday parties have 4 parents. She told a classmate once, "I have 4 parents, it's like having built-in backup." Some people ask if I regret cutting off my parents. I don't. I regret the years I spent trying to earn love from people who were incapable of giving it. But I don't regret a single moment of fighting to get my daughter back. Some families you're born into. Some you build, and some, the ones worth everything, you fight like hell to reclaim. We did all 3, and we're not done.